drive it like it's stolen. I've been living wild, I'm just going through the motions. Stumbling out the Uber, grab my hand, gave me the notion. Swimming in your water, but it feels just like the ocean. I can't lie, I've really been addicted to you. All of my attention I've been giving to you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. On my mind, I can't lie. On my mind, I can't lie. Pull you down till you dry. Pull you down till you dry. All the time, ease my mind. All the time, ease my mind. I know that you're dangerous, I'm addicted to you. I was sipping Moet for 2 years straight to the face. Champagne belly bubble still won't go away. Last year my best man hit a stain with bare face. Now he's got a hell behind the water's cold case. I wake up with pain sometime and never go away. Wonder why I balance up.
What's up?
Hey, what, man?
You all right?
What, Shannon?
I ain't say nothing. You all right?
I'm good, man. Thank you guys for joining us for episode 17 of This, That, and the Third. This is your boy Hook.
It's your girl Shannon.
I'm here with the homie Shannon.
Yeah.
And I promise you, we aren't crazy. But the reason we're laughing, apparently I did the most alpha thing ever in naming the or giving a title to this podcast, which is there a schism between black women and black men? And apparently some people said they had to go to Google to find out exactly what schism means.
Yeah. All of us intelligent black women had to be like, what? What? We love it though. Pop your shit, Hook. It's all right.
So, not to insult anybody's intelligence, but for those who don't know, for those who haven't gone to Google yet, a schism is a split or division between strongly opposed sections or parties caused by differences in opinion or belief.
Not you reading the definition.
Hey man, I'm just saying, I had to let the people know, man.
He had to prove it.
Google his own word.
No, but this is a conversation that we do think is long overdue, though. It's always something, man, between black men and black women. I don't know what it is. So we're going to get into a few of those things, and I'm very interested to see, how this conversation is going to go and what the varying opinions are. Now, before we begin, we do want to give our guests an opportunity to introduce themselves, tell you guys who they are. Jill, we're going to start with you. Then we're going to kick it to Selena, and then Lynn, we're going to let you carry the rear. So Jill, go ahead, brother.
All right. Hey, good evening, everyone. I'm Joe Thompson. Originally from Columbia, South Carolina. Currently live here in Tennessee. I'm in the military. Got 2 daughters. That's pretty much it. Just glad to be here and want to have a good time tonight. Want to be able to share my thoughts and be open to everybody else's thoughts as well too. All right.
Absolutely. Selena.
Mute.
She on mute. And I didn't do it this time.
She on mute.
Look, I didn't touch the thing. Okay, I am Selena Stewart. I am halfway from Columbia and halfway from Detroit, but I currently reside in Charlotte, North Carolina. I have been watching your podcast for a while, chiming in a lot in the chats, but this is my first time actually on video and actually being participating. So I'm excited for the topic tonight.
Glad to have you.
Yes,
and we have another first timer. Lynn?
Yes, I'm another first timer. Glad to be here. My name is Lynn. I too am in Charlotte, but I am originally from Sumter, South Carolina, the big city of Sumter.
Merc City.
I am
Merc
a
City.
mother of, say that again.
Merc City.
That's
Merc City.
girl. The reputation. It wasn't that way when I was there, but yeah, it's getting bad now. I'm a mother of two. I have two daughters, and I'm divorced. And I'm just excited to be here to have a time to chat on the topic. So glad to be here.
Glad y'all are here.
Absolutely. Glad to have you. And as with all of you guys, thank you for joining us, for taking the time out of your busy schedules. So for the viewers, we want you guys to react, share, comment, and subscribe. So let's go ahead and get into it, man. So I just want to start with a very general question. And Lynn, since this is your first time out, and then Selena, we'll kick it to you. I do want to start with you guys. So do you think that there's a schism or a rift between Black men and Black women? Yes or no? What are your thoughts on that?
So unfortunately, I do think there is a little bit. I don't think it's a huge schism or divide. But I do think that there is something there. And I think that it has a lot to do with sort of our history, the way that we've all sort of gotten to where we are. So I think that a lot of us don't necessarily have relationship role models, haven't had relationship role models growing up. And so we've kind of created this vision of what we think somebody should be to and for us, based on what we've seen on TV, what we've heard other people say and do. And I think that has created some very different expectations between Black men and Black women that we sometimes don't take the time to figure out. So yeah, I think there's a little bit of a schism there.
Yeah. Selena?
I think I agree with Lynn and kind of expand on that. I think part of it, in touching on how we were raised, right? Unfortunately, a lot of us may be from single parent homes, mostly moms, maybe, but also that, I joke with my mom at times about, what do they say? Girls are raised, boys are nurtured. And I'd be like, well, no, it's kind of like y'all coddled them. We're kind of raised to kind of be independent. And, now as a woman trying to necessarily get into, being in a relationship or going into a marriage or whatever, we've been kind of raised to don't depend on nobody, have your own, this, that, and the other, versus the men have kind of been raised to, depend on a woman, right? So you have that kind of imbalance of going on of, okay, I don't need you to do this. Some people take on, and this person is needing a person and then feeling like they're, quote unquote, someone is mothering them because of that. So I think that plays a lot into it, on just in how, the rules in the house are different for a boy versus a girl, and the things, the expectations of, the chore, when it comes to chores, okay, you're making the girl learn how to do X, Y, and Z, but for the boy, he has more time to learn. Boys are slow learners, so I think even it goes all the way back to that then stems and kind of follows over into the relationships, where then you may end up with this imbalance of the lack of respect for the person because of, the divide and the imbalance in the relationship, right? And then that just kind of spills over into other areas of the relationship.
Okay. And so Jill, what do you think? We've heard from two women, right? So in terms of from a men's standpoint, do you think there's some kind of divide between the two?
Divide? Hell yeah, it's a damn divide.
Schism.
It's literally, yeah, as far as schisms, it's damn near a whole entire gender war at this point, right? You know, one of us on one side of Mississippi and the others on the other side of Mississippi, right? And I think I'm not sure where you can place the finger on it, you know, as far as the blame. My thing is we should get to a point where we come up with more so solutions versus worrying about where it came from or why it's the way it is. You know, we need to recognize the fact that, especially in our community, we need each other more than ever, right? So we need to come figure out a solution to where it's not about leverage or it's not about, you know, whether you stand up or sit down and use the bathroom, right? We just need to figure out how we can come together to be a powerful. Say again.
And that's
Oh.
my bad. Don't
No,
worry
go
about
ahead.
that.
Oh, that's all I had.
Okay. All right. What about you, Shannon? What do you think?
I definitely think there's a divide, a schism. Excuse me. I need to use the proper terminology. Just because we've seen the double talk very often. You know, on one hand, the things we say we want, when we get them, they seem to be things that we really don't want. You know, we have a lot of unreasonable expectations for our partners. You know, what men are supposed to do versus what women are supposed to do. When really none of it really works like that at all anyway. You know, when you really get into a relationship with someone, all those rules kind of fly out the window. And it's really about what works for you two together. But you can't even get to that point because you have all the influence of the media, influence of the things that you watch on TV, influence of the things you listen to, telling you you're supposed to be one way when it's really not true. Like none of it's true. So I definitely think there's a big
And
divide.
I think yeah, and I think all of you guys made some points that really stuck out to me. Lynn, you mentioned oftentimes it goes to our vision of what we think people should be. You know what I'm saying? Like instead of accepting men individually, and because we're not just all, you know what I'm saying? Like everybody's different, so we're not a monolith. So it's like every black man does not act the same, doesn't do a lot of the same things, right? Selena, you mentioned how we were raised. I think that plays a big deal. I think that plays a big role into it. You mentioned single parenthood. I know Jill comes from a 2-parent household, but with me, I come from a single parent household. I was raised by my mom. My dad wasn't really in the picture like that. So obviously, some of the things that I was taught and some of the things I do may be different from, you know, some of the things that he was taught, and some of the things that he does. And Joe, I agree with you. I think at this point it's become a gender war. It's always something. It's like every single day. It's more. There's more division than unity. You know what I'm saying? Like it's things that we're arguing about or arguing against instead of things when we come together. And that's actually the perfect segue into my next question, because one thing is, like, we know we just had the election, right?
Ooh, Lord Jesus.
And I think on our last episode, we looked at the numbers, and almost nearly 80% of black men voted for Kamala. You know, I think we're like 78 and 22 or something like that. But you know,
ask you something about that hood before
roughly.
you go further. Let me ask you just one more thing. When you give that statistic, is it of the men who voted, or it's the whole population of black men?
It's of the men who voted.
Okay, so I'm worried about the men who didn't go to vote.
Right. No, and
I'm curious what that number is.
No, and that's and that one I don't know, but I know that's certainly another conversation. You know what I'm saying? So I totally get that. Now in terms of the men that actually did vote, it was 80%. So, you know, only 20% of black men didn't. But all I heard the next day was black men don't want to support black women, and black men this and black men that. I'm like, 80%? I mean, and
no,
then
see, look, that's why it matters.
But not only that though, just because the black men didn't vote for Kamala doesn't mean that they hate black women and that they, you know, disagree with, you know what I'm saying? I don't think that they're mutually exclusive. But my question is, like, and Joe, I'm gonna begin with you because this is is like a man question, right? Do you think the black women unfairly, I guess, unfairly criticize black men?
Don't do it, Joe. Don't do it, Joe.
No shotgun blast here. No, here's the thing, right? It's really hard to say yes or no. Sometimes it could be just a perception of that being that case. Some people, perception is a reality too. So I'm not sure. Sometimes you can have, like, you ever seen somebody just come to work and just have a bad day and it really had nothing to do with the job? What you realize is that they probably home work, right? So, you could argue that maybe somebody was just having a bad day. Maybe they just didn't happy their candidate won. And who do you mostly take your anger out on, right? The people that's closest to you, right? So when you have that kind of anger, or if you're having a bad day, it's natural, to vent your problems out to someone that's closest to you. And if you're a sister, more than likely the closest person to you is a brother. So, that's just reality. So I don't know, and I would never throw my sisters on the bus saying that, they're angry at us because of that, right? I think sometimes you can be programmed, so to speak, or you can be lied to, or you can be manipulated into, taking your anger and frustration out on a particular person. And then, unfortunately, especially in our community as brothers, we built to take that shit. You throw us under the bus, we'll be fine. Don't cry about it. It just is what it is.
All right, ladies, what do you think?
Which one of y'all want to go? Y'all got.
They got to take a deep breath on that.
I think I take a deep breath. Come on, ladies.
I'm gonna let Selena go ahead and say she looked like she's cooking up something good. Go ahead, girl.
I'm like, I know I've been told in previous relationships or whatever that I'm overly critical, right? And so for me, I try now in my older age, trying to be more conscious of that. And then I'm like, okay, I guess torn between what's the difference between an observation and a complaint, right? That fine line, okay, I've observed XYZ is not to expectation or on par or whatever. And is it because I say something that automatically make it a complaint, or is it my tone that makes it a complaint? Where's that fine line of, or is it just because every time someone gives you negative feedback, right, it's a complaint? So I have, I guess, been struggling with that just internally in the past year or so, trying to find that fine line or whatever of like, okay, well, when do you say something or you not say something, right? Or because you're being critical. But then I'm like, again, to me, I'm like, well, does that go back to the boys being kind of coddled and nurtured? So that soon as you say something to them, it automatically means that you're saying that they're the worst thing ever. Versus we as women are kind of raised to be like, okay, you take that either criticism or observation and you use that to make an improvement, right? Or you address it or whatever. So that's where I'm just struggling now at this age of like, okay, well, am I criticizing you or being overly critical, or am I making an observation and because I said something and it struck a nerve, I'm being overly critical?
What I just heard between you and Joe, Selena, was both of you said that me as a male, no male, just example, me as a female had been taught to just take it, to just deal with it, right? But when we talk about the other sex, we're saying that y'all are the ones that can't take criticism, or y'all are the ones that don't provide something that the other one needs, and when we just have to take it. I thought that was kind of interesting because we talk about this divide, but we kind of feel in the same way about each other.
Interesting.
Here's the thing, right? You can let the complaint or the criticism distract you or bother you or hinder you. You have here's the thing: certain things you got to anticipate, right? And then when you anticipate, you're able to better counter. So let's say if I knew that Kamala was going to lose and Trump was going to win, I knew that most likely the voters for Harris would probably be upset. So if you anticipate that coming, how do you counter that? How do you prepare yourself for that? How you not let that get the best of you, so to speak? You know what I mean? And I'm just using that as an example, but the bottom line is certain things you can't let get under your skin, so to speak, because number one, you have other responsibilities. You got things to do. You got people to lead, right? And you can't get off your square because you're worrying about somebody else's opinion or you're worried about being blamed for something. I get blamed for stuff all my life, so there's nothing new here, But that's how I see it.
I'm still stuck on, wanting to know the number of Black men that just did not vote at all.
Can I ask you a question though, Shannon?
Mm-hmm.
How do we? Well, so in 2024, right?
Mm-hmm.
More so than ever, you can be Black, you can be white, you can be Hispanic Black, you can be non-Hispanic Black, right? You can be Jewish Black, you can be non-Jewish. Oh, you could be Black non-Jewish. You got so many categories out there that it opens the door, right? So you don't know who's Black and not voting. You know what I'm saying? And furthermore, you got folks who can be part-time Black. So, for example, if I need to get into a certain school, am I Black then, right? Or if I'm going to a certain location, like a Jeezy concert, am I Black then? Right. So some people got that option to choose to be Black. Some of us don't. Right. We Black. We Black in our sleep. We Black. Right. Black before you born. So I'm just saying, I wouldn't worry. I wouldn't go down that rabbit hole trying to worry about the counts of who didn't vote, right? Because as I said, you don't. First off, you can have somebody that's born Black and circling other just for the hell of it. Now your numbers are off, right?
Yeah, it's not really for like it's really my interest is to kind of counter that whole discussion that Black men did come out to vote for Kamala. Black men did not have an issue with the fact that she was a woman,
right?
Because in the circles that we're in on social media, at least in my algorithm, that is what I saw a lot of. Men saying they would not support her just because she was a woman. But then you get the other message then that people try to lead with to say, that's not true. Men don't think that way about women because 80% of the men who voted for Kamala. Well, if you're going to argue that point to me, then you have to really tell me where that 80% number comes from. So if you're going to use that as an argument, then it becomes important. And you have to tell me if that's the whole population of Black men or just the Black men who voted. Because that's a vastly different number of Black men.
I totally agree. But first off, you got to ask yourself, is that the only reason why those brothers?
Oh, of course not.
You know what I'm saying? So I guess it depends on how the question is asked, right? Do you think, are you okay with a woman as a female for the president? If a person says no, that doesn't necessarily mean that they did not vote against her because she's a woman. They may believe that the economy was more important to them, so they voted for the candidate that they believe will have more support towards the economy. Although at the same time they may agree of not having a female president, but that's not necessarily the reason why they didn't vote. So when you get into those nuances, you really don't know where that rabbit hole is going to take you. So for me, I tend not to worry about it because, like I said, you can have that one person saying that no, I don't want a woman president. However, that's not the reason why I didn't vote for her. I didn't vote for her because I didn't want people with penises going inside a women's bathroom. right? Or I didn't want people with penises
and I guess it's the
playing basketball with my daughters. You know, it could be either one of those reasons. You know what I'm saying?
It could be a lot of reasons.
yeah, and it's
Right.
yeah, really, it's like a couple things, right? Like in relationships, right? We always say the person that we want to date. We always believe in the 80-20 rule, right? You know, you want somebody who's going to give you 80% of what you desire and 20% of what you don't desire. You know, and that's the reason I said that when I said the 80-20 as it relates to the election, you can't say that even if it's only 80% of the black men who voted, 80 is 80. You know what I'm saying? So it's that's a vast majority of the men who voted that voted for her, right? That's just one thing I did want to touch on. Now, Lynn, before I shoot it to you, and I guess to really Joe's and Selena's point, like with me, like when it comes to this discussion, I'm indifferent. And I say that because when I see people on the internet, on social media saying, well, black men don't do this, or black men make horrible husbands, or black men are horrible fathers, I'm indifferent because I'm a great husband, I'm a great dad. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't apply to me.
I was raised by one.
So I don't get offended. And great dad trumps great husband. but the fact is like, that's one of those things where I've learned it took practice, obviously, but I've learned to not focus on something and not give my energy to something that doesn't necessarily reflect or capture who I truly am. You know what I'm saying? So I tend not to, I don't go down that rabbit hole because you see the post and it's like 5,000 comments because men and women are bickering back and forth, and when people who don't know each other, and I'm not about to get on there and say, well, that's not all black men. That's not my place. I ain't going to I'm gonna let y'all argue about that, and I'm gonna just continue being the person who I am. But Lynn, I did want to hear from you. We hadn't heard from you yet. So in terms of this actual question, so like, do you think that black women sometimes unfairly blame stuff on black men, or do you think that's a myth?
I think sometimes black men get a bad rap for stuff that they don't have control over, or little things. But I think those are the things that are amplified, right? I think it all has to do with who you hang with, who your circle is, who you're around. I'm not around women who dog out black men on a regular basis. I mean, everybody has their thing that they don't like, or their experience or whatever, but I've had my own struggles with that, but I can't blame the next man for what the last man did, right? I can speak to what my experience was, but I can't live in that negativity, and I don't expect anybody else to do that either. So I think it a little bit has to do with who you surround yourself with. Everybody's got their personal experiences, and some people allow their past experiences to really lead the way with how they treat people and what they do. And the last time I was with somebody, they did such and such. I'm not going to go down the, like, they feel like they're self-protecting, right?
Yeah.
But I'm in a lot of, singles groups on Facebook, and I don't participate in most of them because, to the point, most of them are a lot of posts with people fussing and cussing and, dogging each other out. Like, you don't even know these people. Like, they take one thing somebody says, they add their spin to it, and then all of a sudden everybody is like a brawl in the comments, fighting and talking bad and all this other stuff. And I'm like, that's not the kind of energy that I carry, and that's not the kind of energy that I want. So I see it and I let it roll. So I do think that sometimes it happens, but I do believe when I see it that a lot of it is in reaction to what Black women feel has been put on them, right? It's like I'm gonna get you before you get me kind of thing. And so, I think we spend a lot of time talking about what we don't like, what we don't want, who we not gonna be and what you not gonna get from me. It's a whole bunch of 100 heirs worried about people being gold diggers.
Oh, not
Like,
the
are you?
100 heirs, sis.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. You know, fellas with money, folks with money, do not worry about gold diggers. Like I've never met anybody of means that was worried about a gold digger. It's only the broke folks that's worried about somebody digging gold. We going to Applebee's, baby. It's okay. We can go Dutch if we got to, but that's, I mean, a free meal. My time is worth more than
That
a
might
free
be a
meal,
problem
right?
too.
Huh?
At Applebee's.
I said that might be a problem for him going Dutch at
Yeah.
Applebee's too.
Listen, you know that's an issue too, right? That we gonna fight about that, and like I can't go to Applebee's. Like, you know, folks impose their own restrictions and sometimes stuff that they wouldn't even, you know, if the shoe was on the other foot, you wouldn't appreciate somebody coming at you that way, talking to you that way, setting those expectations or putting those expectations on you. So, you know, I think we have to start treating each other how we want to be treated. And that includes the criticism, right? So reserve it. Not everything you think has to be spoken or written. Not everything that happens has to be shared. And I think we do a lot of talking when we should be doing a little bit more healing.
And listening.
And
we don't listen to each
yeah,
other. We don't really hear that we're saying the same things. Like I tried to point out what about Joe and Selena. We're saying the same things about each other, but we only want to hear what we want to hear about the conversation as it relates to the things that feed us, our experiences. But we're really saying the same things. We need each other. We have the same wants and needs from each other. And if we would just focus on that, I think we could heal a lot of this divide or close this schism that we have in our community. If we just take a minute just to listen to each other.
Just had to find a way to put the word in there.
I feel like I ain't gonna let it go. I'll be saying it again next year.
No doubt.
And I think that one key thing that both of you just said, one thing both of you just said was healing, right? Yeah. So, absolutely. And I think that's really the biggest thing there is if you're not fully healed, like, you know what I'm saying? Like you're carrying all this baggage and these bad experiences and anything that anybody says triggers you, you're not really trying to understand. You know what I'm saying? I've had bad experiences. I've only dated Black women, right? I've had some very bad experiences, but that didn't deter me from Black women. That's not me saying, oh, I can't date a sister because, you know, she did X, Y, and Z. I mean, I love my sisters, and I can't see myself dating anybody other than sisters. It's just not going to happen, right? And to that point, because another thing I really wanted to touch on, like what the thing that does bother me, even though I don't speak on it, is when whether it's men or women, when they start dating outside of the Black community, and then their reason for doing so is, well, because white men or Hispanic men or Hispanic women treat us better than the Black ones do. You know what I'm saying? And like, like there was a post the other day, and this girl was started dating this white man, and she kept going on and on. Oh, it's great over here. I love it over here. I should have been over here all along. You know,
then go be great over there.
I mean, you know, if that's if that's who you love, like I'm all who you love, but don't say that you aren't gonna date a certain race because of you know what I'm saying? Like, don't bash me to make don't bash Junebug to make Chad look better. You know what I'm saying? Like to me, that's a problem.
I had the same conversation with my son, like when he was growing up, because, you know, I live in a predominantly white community. So he's at a predominantly white high school, and you started hearing him having negative conversations about Black women, Black girls, right? Black girls argue all the time, or, you know, just these things. And I told him, don't come to me telling me that you don't want to date a Black woman or a woman that looks like your mother because of some stereotype. You know, make sure that you are exploring all women, right, for who they are and not the stereotype of them. Because his father's Panamanian, so he had a propensity to like Spanish girls, and I didn't have a problem with that. had two beautiful granddaughters that are mixed race. They're Hispanic, half Hispanic. But don't say you're excluding a certain race because of stereotypes. That bothered me completely. And then he's always around here listening to Future. I can't stand Future.
I can understand the hell he be saying.
I can't stand.
I call him mumble rap.
Yeah, stop perpetuating this BS into our young men about women and about relationships and about, because he has a lot of influence. And unfortunately, my son's 28 and I can see where his friends, they're listening to this mess and their conversations they have about women and how to handle relationships with women. Like, it's so sad. I'm always trying to course correct, always trying to feed them some other thing to look at, to view, and not fall into these traps about who women are from stereotypes or from one person having a negative experience and now they're perpetuating that negative experience to everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that's really all it is.
Tell them next time you pull up at your house, did you want to hear that shit no more?
Yeah, you pull up quiet now, but I'm like, I know you listen to it. I know it. You better stop.
But isn't this what we see though in the conversations? If you ever want to get a chat hot, mention Future and Sierra and Russell Wilson. Mention that and watch. It is such an easy way to weed people out. In any singles group, it is the easiest way for me to weed out the fellas that I just don't even need to be worried about. Because the minute someone says something about Russell Wilson being a simp and blah, 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 and he's trying to take Futures, the minute any of that happens, I'm like, okay, thank you very much for that information. I'm just going to move on and go on about my day. I mean, it is amazing to me that the number of people, and unfortunately, mostly Black men, that I see making negative comments about somebody who's minding his business, taking care of his family, and doing whatever he needs to do, because people wear their trauma and their hurt on their chest, and it just comes off as a bunch of hurt to me. Like, I would assume as people who've never experienced the kind of dynamic that they seem to have and don't understand it, don't know what it feels like, and immediately have a problem with it because of whatever. I don't know. It's troubling to me. And so for that, yeah, I definitely think there's a schism there.
Can't we all just get along?
From in that regard, yeah, because I mean, I got two daughters, right? And personally, I would prefer that they bring a Russell Wilson home instead of a Future. You know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly.
Like, and I think a lot of it may be because a lot of those, and again, I'm not lumping us all into one, but a lot of those guys may see more of themselves in Future than they do in Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is articulate. He's
easier to be.
Yeah,
I think it's easier to be unaccountable than it is to be accountable. So it's easier.
It is, but why should it be a negative that he's stepped up to show what seems to be, none of us know, but what seems to be genuine love and have a meaningful relationship with this child and the children that they have, even if they're not biologically his? Like, people seem to have a real problem with that. And, I see the divide the most with, I see Black women on one side, to generalize, Black women on one side going, oh yes, send me my Russell. And Black men, oh, you a single mother, you're not going to get anybody like that. And nobody's going to want you. Like, it's like they're wanting to will you single. Like, you can't get that, and
Russell
it don't make any sense to me.
Russell is the new Boaz.
Is it a coincidence that it's the single mothers that's asking for Russell?
I don't think it's just single mothers. I just think that that's the blowback, because she was a single mother at the time that he that he and she got together. So that's what I see the response being. But I don't think it's just single mothers that want somebody who will love them and seems to really genuinely care and is not afraid to show that. And I think that's what I see a lot of women, you know, when they see that relationship, it's like, wow, he loves her. He's not afraid to show it. He's not out here wilding out. We don't hear stuff about him cheating on her or him mistreating her, embarrassing her. And I think that's what women look at and go, wow, that's beautiful. That's not something some women have never had that. And that's what they want. So whether you're a single mother or not, you know.
I totally agree. I think he's a phenomenal gentleman, by the way. They're asking for the Russell Wilson because they are a single mother. Like, for example, they wouldn't ask, it's the same crowd don't ask for LeBron James, right?
And they could because he's the
because
same.
his wife wasn't a single mother. You see what I'm saying? It's kind of like, okay, I have a child by a man that I'm not married to, like Sierra, right? And then Sierra not just ended up with a husband, she ended up with a Super Bowl winning multi-million-dollar husband. You see what I'm saying? So that's why they'll put themselves in that category of Sierra. The problem is, with all due respect, they're nothing like Sierra. Like, they can't sing like Sierra. They don't look like Sierra. It's just a different ball game. So I guess my point is, right, some things matter. Right? So
you ain't gotta look like Sierra to find you a Russell.
Look, and
the point is they expect but they expect the tangibles that Russell brings to the table. But the Joe Thompson got to settle for the non-Sierra. See, Joe Thompson got to be Russell Wilson. They don't have to be Sierra. Like, I would like a platinum singing artist too, but it is what it is. Okay. I mean, I can't throw.
I will say though, most of the fellas in the comments that are objecting, most of the fellas in the comments that are objecting are not Russell.
Right.
And I think that's I think Joe
99.9% of the men won't be a Russell. Well,
Joe,
what I'm saying is,
just illustrated the schism right there, because you have a thought that we believe that you should be Russell.
Listen,
but we don't
just because that's your favorite word don't mean it fits every time.
You just illustrated right there that you think.
But the thing is, though,
well, here's the thing.
The thing is,
I'm just saying what's been thought of. And so one thing about me, I don't bite my tongue too much. I'm trying to a little bit because of what I do for a living. But generally speaking, I'm gonna say what some people probably gonna think, right? And that's probably to your point, Lynn, what you mentioned earlier, why some dudes would call him a simp or whatever, right? It's the fact that the regular dude is not attractive to her, that type of woman, or the guy that doesn't, throw footballs for the NFL, right? Or the guy that doesn't have millions of dollars, right? So it's kind of like, okay, yeah, she just happened to be a single mother, and she just so happened to have a 0.1% type man. Like this is literally a unicorn. Most of us can't be unicorns.
Are looking at his money.
Yeah, I was gonna say, let's take away the fame and the fortune.
Yeah, I think that's what they're looking at.
Because none of what I said about him.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we would.
We would not be talking about Russell Wilson if he wasn't famous.
Okay, we wouldn't know about him.
We wouldn't be talking about Sierra either.
Russell Wilson every day.
Okay,
we wouldn't be talking about Sierra either.
But what I'm saying is, I'm talking about the core qualities of a person being loving. Like, we don't know what go on their home, right? But we can only know surface, right? What appears to be a loving, thoughtful, supportive, respectful man puts his wife on the pedestal.
The only way we're able to see that is because he won a Super Bowl, is my point. This happens all the time.
But
I agree.
We really didn't know nothing about him too much until he got with Sierra, if we want to be clear.
Again.
But
y'all didn't know Russell Wilson. She wouldn't have got with that particular type of brother if he was driving a bus. That's what I'm saying.
That's
not true. That's schism again.
Name a bus driver that Sierra was sleeping with.
Now, I'm saying,
look. Here's the thing, though.
I can name you 5 entertainers she was sleeping with. But you
Here's
can't
the
name
thing.
one bus driver, one service member,
When-
one police
We're
officer,
talking
one
about Sierra.
firefighter.
We're talking
Name
about
a
the
regular
fact
dude that Sierra was messing with.
No, we're
But-
talking about the fact that you are alluding to the fact that these single women only are addressing the fact of Russell and Sierra's relationship because Russell is rich. And
No,
I'm
it's not
saying
that.
that those
It's not-
same
it's not that.
single,
It's
those
not that
same
he's
single
rich.
women or women who are not necessarily to Sierra's caliber may have no
Mhm.
problem dating a bus driver. I would have
Right.
no problem dating
No,
a
and
bus driver.
let me I want to bridge what I think everyone has been saying, right? Because obviously
Someone in
Russell
the same
Wilson,
day.
you know what I'm saying? Because he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback, like Joe said, multimillionaire. She like first, it's not like she needed Russell because she already had her own bread, but I mean he only added to what
It's a
she
hell of
already
an
has,
insurance
right?
plan.
But I think the
Mhm.
biggest thing, that a lot of women are envious of is you see the time that Russell Wilson takes up with Sierra with Future's son. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like he's active with them, taking, he's for all intents and purposes become his dad. And
Mhm.
what women don't see, there are a lot of average Joes, me being one of them, who took on that same mantle. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And because I always tell people, I have two daughters. I have one biological and I have one that's my wife's. But if people who like you guys who've known me for a while, you know the dynamic. But for those who don't know the dynamic, because they always ask me, how many kids you got? I said, I got two girls. How old are they? They 15. They twins? No, they ain't
You gotta
twins.
explain it.
Oh, I gotta explain this, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it starts because I don't say I have one biological daughter and one stepdaughter. No, I got two daughters. And because
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think besides women wanting a man to love them, I think what they want more than anything, they want single moms. They want a man to come in who's going to love their child equally as his
Amen.
own. And I
Yes.
think that's people don't value enough just how big that really is for a man
It's
to come
huge.
in and you know what I'm
It's
saying,
huge.
take on assume the role of somebody's father. You know what I'm saying? First of all, there's a myth that fathers are like black dads are absent, which we know that's a load of BS.
Awesome.
But to
Right.
see a man come in and take on that role, and people, when people see that, because even I admire Russell for that, because I'm like, had I not known the dynamic, I wouldn't have even known Future was anywhere in the picture.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If I didn't know exactly what was going on. So I think
I've
that's
never
what a
seen
lot of
picture
women
of Future
desire.
without daughter.
In most average women, right? When I say average, I mean just ordinary everyday women. They can get a man that's going to come by and sleep with them and take them out to eat, but are they going to give that same energy to their children, which is what they truly desire?
Yes.
Well,
And I
then-
think like none of
That
the
could
stuff
be a
that I
best spot.
mentioned, none of
Yeah.
the stuff that I mentioned when I talked about their relationship had anything to do with his money or his position or his fame. It was about the
Mhm.
way he holds his wife and his family and his relationship. And so you don't have to have money for that. But that's
I'm not disputing that at
most
all.
often, say that again.
I said I'm not disputing that at all. What I'm saying is, in order to see that level of compassion, it takes a person to be on TV to do it. You see what I'm saying? Like, in other words, what I'm saying is, you got brothers out here doing that same exact thing. He just so happened not to be an NFL Super Bowl winning quarterback.
You're
So you don't
correct.
see it.
But if you listen to the
Huh?
if you read the comments in a lot of these groups, you'd
Uh-huh.
never know it. Like
Well,
I
in
know it
hindsight
because
now,
I know
you
some
can't-
good men that do the same thing, that take it on, and you'd never know that it's a stepchild or whatever, just like
Right.
Hook was saying. But we know they're out here. We just want more of them to step up, because the loud ones are the ones that aren't willing to
Yeah,
do it
that
and are
won't do
busy
it.
talking down what's happening. So I need the ones that are doing it to step up and be as loud as the ones that are talking it
Yeah.
down. Is all I'm
The
saying.
loud ones are the
Yeah.
ones saying they don't want a woman that got kids. They don't want to be daddy to somebody else's child.
Right.
Those are the ones that are loud, that are influencing our children to not value relationships and not value raising our Black children because they may not be biologically yours.
Mhm.
That's the problem.
Well, why do you think that's a problem?
Because a lot of folks maybe they didn't grow up with that role model. Again, it goes back to what you see. Like, I think people know what's possible in part because of the things that they see. It's hard to dream something that you've never experienced or that you don't know is out there.
Mhm.
And so if your lived experience is that step parents don't love you the way biological parents love you, or they throw you away, or they don't take care of you, or they ignore you, or whatever, if that's been your lived experience, then maybe that's all you know. Maybe that's what you think is normal. Maybe it seems impossible that it could be any other way.
If that
I don't
if
know.
that
I grew up in a
if,
2-parent household, and I've got the
if that
best dad
logic
in the
if that
world,
logic
and
holds water, if that logic holds water, then you have a lot of brothers who was raised single parents wouldn't be husbands, right?
some wouldn't. I'm just saying, the folks that are loudest about saying that it's impossible for this to happen, maybe that's why they think that. Not that there aren't people out there who disprove that every day. I'm
Yeah.
just saying, maybe the
Yeah.
ones that are loudest about it and most adamant about the fact that if you're a single mama, you're not going to get love, you don't deserve it, you're not going to have anybody love your kids. Maybe it's because they haven't experienced it themselves.
Anybody talking like that, that's like I was talking about earlier. Sometimes people bring their problems from home,
Stop, Jamal.
to work, or in this case, we bring it to a relationship.
Looking at this
I'll be the one to
comment.
tell you. Yeah, I know, right? I'll be the one to tell you that a woman who has children, that doesn't necessarily make them like the worst woman in the world. It doesn't make them unmarriageable.
It doesn't. That's a beautiful thing for you to say, because most men will say that it does. And when I say most,
I won't say most. It's enough.
when I say
I
most
won't say
men,
most.
that comes from a place of you can't date everybody, but you
Well,
can date 10 men, and out of those 10,
I have to stop you right there, sister. It's
Uh-huh.
plenty of women out here with children who are getting married, right?
I
The
didn't say
men
they
that's
were
not the child, not the father of their child. So that you said most men. That's kind of impossible.
But I was qualifying to say most men, meaning you can't date everybody. So of the 10 that I experience, or that a woman may experience, she's probably gonna find the majority of them don't want to be a stepfather to children that don't belong to them.
Do you ask
And I
them
guess
upfront?
to Lynn's point, right?
That's what I always ask.
Because she said sometimes we tend to emulate what we see, and if we weren't raised a certain way, we may not necessarily take that on. But the thing is, though, like I know, and we all can only share our own experiences. And like I said, like my mom was a single mom. You know what I'm saying? My dad was never around, right? But that was motivation for me. That was for me when I became a dad. I said, I'm not gonna be that guy. My daughters are not going to wonder where dad is, or if dad loves them, or you know what I'm saying? Like, and when I talk about the healing journey, that's a hurt that I know that I had to overcome for me to be a better husband and dad. I couldn't be the man I am if I didn't overcome that. Because for a long time, and not until I started seeking therapy about it, I didn't realize how that affected me, how that impacted my entire life. Because it impacted my relationships. Because I wasn't trying to marry nobody. I was just out there trying to. Me and Joe went to college together. We,
Wait a minute,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right, that's what it was. And Richard already said what you want.
Don't throw me in the mix. I was at the library.
You was community.
No, when I say we went to college together, he like Joe and I know each other for a long time. So, and my wife knows, she knows the type of guy I used to be, right? But there are a lot of things I had.
Was in the library with me.
Exactly. I had to deal with a lot of hurt, and when I had to overcome that, and I said I wasn't going to be a deadbeat. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't going to have kids out here that didn't know me. That, you know what I'm saying? Like when I leave this earth, my daughters are going to be able to say, my dad did X, Y, and Z. My dad took care of my mom, my dad, you know what I'm saying? And I think that, and to Lynn's point, I'm not out here bragging about it. So I'm one of the quiet ones. But the people who are talking about it, the loudest ones, are the ones who aren't necessarily living that ideal. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that's the biggest thing. So I won't necessarily say that guys like us need to stand up and be more vocal about it. But I do think that people need to see that, you know what I'm saying? Like, you may not get a Russell Wilson, a multimillionaire, but you can get somebody who's going to love you and who's going to love your kids.
I think the happy people are the quietest because they're busy being happy. And they don't have time to be out here on Beyonce's internet arguing with people about stuff that they're not worried about because they're busy being happy, okay?
We just
The
need to
unhappy people are the
how
ones that are
happy-
out here wilding out in the comments and fighting, about ridiculous stuff on the internet. Go find some happy somewhere.
But I don't,
Sound happy.
Absolutely.
when you're talking about that and
Absolutely.
saying
It's
single mom, I guess it's another celebrity couple, but what's the guy that's on Sisters, DeVal and his wife, and listening to their podcast, that
Oh,
a lot of
DeVal.
people call him simp and saying she's being submissive or whatever. And it was like, okay, so people can't be happy and just want to take care and love on their mate because that's what you're supposed to do. So
Yeah.
they talk about that some on their podcast of, men and women referring to them as, simp or, her being submissive or wanting to cater to her husband. I'm like, well, that's what you're supposed to do in a healthy, happy relationship. So
Right.
that's not even on a, talking about from a single mom perspective or whatever. And like I said, I'm not a single mom. I'm not a mom at all, but I still want somebody that I feel like they worship the draws. I feel like they worship the draws I walk in. Like I want them to be about me. I want them to feel like I'm the best friend since sliced bread. And I hope
to drink your bath water, girl.
yes, that I can
How
make
you
them
slide through life without having kids? How you do that?
birth control.
Shit.
It works.
She said easy.
Pour some of that in my drink.
Birth control. It works.
That's talent.
She had mine. She helped me raise mine.
I'm an auntie and a godmama. But birth control, it works. So
That's the
yeah,
ultimate.
so
Now,
that's all,
and we
you
still
know,
have a
have a what?
we have a few minutes left. So I do want to end with one question. We've got a few minutes left. So I do want to end with one question, right? If there is a schism that exists, how do we repair it?
I think it goes back to what Lynn was saying. We need the people who are actually living their happy lives to really speak out about what it really feels to love a woman, what it really feels like to love a man. And like these things do not make you weak. They actually make you stronger. They build you up. They grow you. They bring on things in this life that you have never even imagined, but you got to let yourself experience it to understand that they exist. Right? And we need people speaking up about that. Like my marriage before my husband passed away, it was beautiful. It was beautiful, and he wasn't necessarily the man that you thought I would have selected, but he was the best man in the possible world for me at the time. And we were able to show people how much we loved each other, and it wasn't hidden. And people still tell me today about how beautiful it was and how they took examples of what marriage was supposed to be from us. And that was because we showed it to people. We lived it out loud so that people knew that it actually could exist. And I think if you had more people that would do that, you would stop having these opposite conversations when you only see the sensationalized relationships when something goes wrong.
I think we have to hold each other accountable. I think Black women have to hold other Black women accountable. When we see foolishness, we need to call it out, and we need to say, "Sis, you're wrong. You're going in the wrong direction." I think we have to be open to being held accountable, and I think Black men have to hold each other accountable to make sure that we aren't just focusing on the negative, that we're giving each other a fair shot, that when we see, look, you got a good person, you got a good man, you got a good woman, he's a good man, Savannah. If you got a good person in your life, then I think you have to have people in your life who are willing to hold you accountable and who you'll listen to.
Well, Hook said that they do hold each other accountable, but I ain't seen it yet.
We do.
Ain't that what you said,
That's
Hook?
the topic for another day. That's a topic for another day. But black men do hold each other accountable. Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
Can I do a quick response to that real quick? I agree with Hook. We do hold the brothers accountable. It's the 1% that we'll try to hold accountable, but he gets rewarded with time from women. And I'm saying time in a modest way. But generally speaking, yes,
okay.
booty, money, a place to stay, some clothes, some clean drawers, all that shit. You know, basically a whole human pet.
Homosexual.
Bingo.
Oh.
And that homosexual gets her pregnant about 9 times.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So generally speaking, I'm sorry about my light. Generally speaking, we trust me, we hope. Here's the thing: let one of y'all slip and fall in public, or let a man look like he about to hurt you in public, and watch some brothers come to your rescue. We hold brothers accountable. It's just that 1% that just somehow happen to slide through the crack and end up sliding between somebody's crack, basically, right? And that's where a lot of the problems stem from, right? Then, you know, be honest with you. But yes.
1% listen in the future.
Huh?
That 1% listen in the future. That's the problem.
Well, it's not just here's the thing. Future is
I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding, Joe.
You know, yeah, I was about to. Anyways, on that being said, let me I guess you know what? I'm gonna pause 1 second.
Right. And Selena, what about you? How do we repair the schism?
I think we all need therapy and to do it on a regular basis.
Yeah.
For one, I realize it's probably been over a year that I haven't been to talk to my person. So, I think there's a reason for everything that somebody does, right? I'm the person that I'm trying to make, did you do something or say something? I'm asking, well, why did you do that? Or, there's always a reason for a person doing or not doing something, even if you're not aware of it. But I think that therapy will help you kind of tap into those things as to why you may respond the way you do to things or whatever, right? That's going to help you become a better person in order to be in a relationship and be on one accord with someone, but then to learn how to navigate and become more sensitive of other people's stuff, right? Because we all are kind of selfishly focusing on ourselves, and everybody has that selfish tendency naturally, but then you can maybe be more empathetic, right? If maybe a light bulb or something goes off about, okay, well, maybe that's why this person is responding this way, because of something from their past and their background, right? And that just being more self-aware, because it's one thing, they say the first step is admitting you have a problem or being self-aware, right? But then the hardest part is then trying to put that stuff in action. And I say it all the time. I'm like, okay, I know I kind of have this pop-up spirit, and my friends have to bring me back in sometimes.
Just a little bit, baby. Just a little bit.
And I'll be like, well, it's hard in that moment. Like, for me not to just, So, I feel like that will help a lot of people to tap into some of those past hurts and traumas that have not been addressed, that we just keep having this cycle of, disconnect and dysfunction amongst Black men and women, the divide. So that's my take.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, and I appreciate everybody's comments. I think that this is something that we need to do more often. Have a conversation, and actually listen to what others actually have to say. But before we peel out, I do want to get some parting shots from everybody. So I want you guys all to give like one last statement to leave the audience with. And Joe, we're gonna start with you, brother.
Start with you. Like I said earlier, we need each other more than ever, right? It's time for the gender war. It's time for the bickering. All that stuff needs to stop because, like I said, at the end of the day, we all we got. Especially if we want to, keep this community going and thriving. It's time for us to stop going back and forth with each other, sit down and listen to each other, get a chance to understand, know each other, appreciate each other, right? That's what's going to take us a long way. At the end of the day, it's our kids who need that. Understand we're not just doing it for our sake. We're doing it for our future's sake. And that being said, you all have a good night. Appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Selena?
I was about to make a joke when he said doing it for our future. I was like, for our future or future sake. I thought what I said before was kind of my last words, but let me think. Yeah, I don't necessarily have any other parting words because I thought those were kind of my parting words, what I said before. So I'm just going to sign off. No parting words.
Okay.
I think my parting words will be that good love and strong relationships feel better than any argument you'll ever win. And so whatever we have to do to reduce the divide and increase the peace, I think we need to take care of quickly. Because to Joe's point, we really need each other more than ever right now. So it's been fun chatting tonight. So that's it for me.
All right, Shannon, what you got?
Hey, I thought we was finna get a big smile out of Joe. He'd give us those little, some little grins. I thought we was finna get a big smile out of him. But I'm going back to what one of our viewers wrote. He said, "Black love wins," and I think that's true. Like we do need each other, and the love that we have, that we know how to show to each other, can't come back. Like there was a time in our history where we loved on each other and we supported each other and we were focused on building our community up and making sure our community was strong. And I just think we can get back there if we just focus on the fact that Black love wins. And we can win if we do the work.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And as for me, man, to be honest with you, like it's really simple. Actually, it's you have to be the change you want to see. So I think that it's good to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? But like you actually have to be actionable with it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and we have our peers watching us, but we also have our kids. So our kids, their generation, they're going to be the ones who are inevitably going to make that change. So we have to show them what being a good husband looks like, what being a good wife looks like, what being a good dad looks like, and really show them that Black people, period, you know what I'm saying? Men, women, whatever, like we're stronger together. So we have to understand that we like, you know what I'm saying? If we can just cut all the bullshit and if we just join together and we were one cohesive unit, we can make things happen, but we have to get out of our own way. And I think that's probably the easiest way to say it, man. But I love my people, obviously. And I hope that I pray and hope for the best, but it's going to start with us, and hopefully it trickles down to those who are coming after us. So, but again, this was a great conversation, man. It was just definitely something that was overdue. And yeah, Shannonism, yeah, that is a thing, Joe. So Shannonism is a word that we coined. So. Yeah, so
but again, I like that one better than Schism.
Right, I know, right? And Lynn and Lynn and Selena, thank you guys for coming on. This was your first time you guys are out. We enjoyed you. We appreciate you for lending your insight. Joe, as always, we appreciate you, man. Stay safe
Joe.
over there. Appreciate everything you do. And helping
people. The ladies y'all look beautiful tonight, by the way.
Hold it down for the brothers, Joe.
Absolutely.
We did it, Joe.
Hey, if nobody else won't do it, it'll be me.
And Shannon, as always, my partner in crime. I appreciate everything you do week over week. I love you. And we can do it again in a couple weeks, man. So until then, we'll holler.
Bye, y'all.
All right.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.